Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see behind me, some of you may recognize that car right there. Yes, that's Grubworm. And we are in a little different setting today. And we're going to talk to Jonathan a little bit about what he's doing now. So basically what it's going to be is kind of Jonathan's life after Tick Performance. So, alright Jonathan, I actually have went back and looked. Last time you and me got to sit down and talk, we actually had the Grubworm with us, and we were at Tick Performance at the time, and that's been almost 2 years ago. So they say time flies, so does the car. And that 2 years, a lot of things have changed as far as the car. I would say business-wise for you, which kind of leads us up to right now. So we'll start with Grubworm 2 years ago, where you were at with Grubworm then.
Okay, yeah, so 2 years ago, I mean, really the car was a lot like it is now as far as the car, the engine combination, everything was very similar, but 2 years ago I think we ran 690s. You know, that might have been when we broke into the 690s, was exactly 2 years ago at World Cup. Since then, upgraded the rear end, rear suspension, made a lot of changes in that direction. The torque boxes that Tick makes, you know, this was the first car to ever get a set of those. So we really got the suspension to work about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And the car's progressed a lot since then as far as what it runs. Still same LT1 engine, whatever. We had a bow tie small block Chevy, like a Gen 1 block in it for a few races, which is what was in it when we set the record at Florida last year. Went 661 with that engine. And we ran it at World Cup last year, and then we ran the bow tie this year at Lights Out, which was the 8th mile heads up stick race that Tick sponsored at the beginning of this year. And then after that event, the bow tie engine had hurt wrist pins. We'd actually bent some wrist pins. You could hear a noise in the engine. And we put the LT1 back in it. Same LT1 we raced for pretty much the entire season last year. So it's a pretty tired old engine that's in it now. You know, we carry it to the big events as our backup typically, but this year it just became what we raced. And for the most part, the reason we have ran this engine and not really focused on fixing the bow tie block is because of the whole business life change that I made earlier this year.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in just a minute. So, but you've pretty much progressed the whole time with the car. Do you see a certain limit or a time that you might think, well, it's done, that's all I can do with it, and we're going to be comfortable with what we, you know, whether it's setting a record, when you get a certain record or certain ET or mile per hour, you're going to be satisfied, or you just want to keep raising the bar a little bit?
Well, we're still chipping at it a little bit with this car and with this engine even. I want to, you know, we're going to be going to World Cup next week, so we're going to keep the LT1 in it because I just want to, I feel like it has a little bit left, so we want to try and lower that record. It'd really be cool if we could lower the overall stick shift record with the LT1 stock block motor. You know, instead of the bow tie, the aftermarket block. Because that's really what made this car famous, was the LT1 and the trash talk that, you know, I've put out there quite a bit along those lines, you know, because that's what makes it fun to me. You know, anybody can take an aftermarket block or a billet block and billet heads, and, you know, you can spend enough money to go as fast as you can afford. This car, not that it's anything super budget or cheap at this point, but it's still a production block. It's cast off the shelf Brodix heads. So it's a pretty simple combination that, you know, I could repeat for, you know, pretty much any customer. Yeah. You could build one yourself. You know, it's just nothing about it other than the intake manifold that, you know, is really a whole lot of custom. And even it's still a cast piece from Brodix that's just been welded and modified a little bit. But
if you had to, and you don't have to say, if, like I said, if a customer said, hey, I want you to kind of build a replica of Grub as far as motor wise, you know, could you put a dollar on it?
Yeah, we actually have the short block and a turnkey engine on our website. Short block, I believe, is 13-ish, 13.5 maybe. That's for the LT1 block. You know, solid block, everything. Really, a big portion of that expense is just the billet crank. It's a $5,000 crankshaft, so, you know, custom billet Crowler cranks, D-stroked, you know, so it's going in the opposite direction of what most people think about doing when they build an engine, right. Especially in LS. You know, everybody wants to, you know, build a 427 or, you know, they're putting all these cubes in, and with our stick shift combination and the ability for the transmission to handle the torque and the RPM range that we have to spin in order to just even go that fast, it's just, in my opinion, it's better to, you know, have that short stroke, small cube, you know, lots of boost, lots of RPM combination.
All right, fast forward kind of to today, or most recent race you had. You know, I sat there and watched it myself, and I'm like, is he going to get around this car? And all of a sudden, it's like, holy crap! Out of nowhere, you just like gangbusters just come right around him.
Yeah. So at Florida, you know, FL2K, we were down there a couple weeks ago. Actually, was fortunate enough to get the win. Had some luck on our side in that one because we were racing Joel Granis with the Supra, and he treated us really bad, really bad. We were having some clutch.
Wait a minute. He treated you. What kind of sandwich were you making?
I think it was a Philly cheesesteak.
Extra cheese.
Well, the bun was toasting.
Okay, the bun was okay. Anyway.
But no, he did a really good job on the light. You know, better than the average for any stick car guy, in my opinion. With stick shift racing, I don't. You know, some people out there are getting incredible lights. And I'm not really sure how they're doing it. But with us, it's hydraulic clutch. You know, it's Tickmaster. It's a Tilton Slave.
A lot of off-the-shelf parts.
Just stuff, you know, the car has factory pedals. Everything's bolted in like factory. It's just like anybody's F-body, you know, as far as clutch hydraulics. And one of the things about hydraulics is it slows down your reaction and the rate, basically, that the clutch operates. You know, and a lot of people don't understand that. And there's a lot that goes into, you know, even the base adjustment of the clutch and how quickly that's going to make the hydraulics react, because that's your pressure that's pushing the fluid back. You know, your pressure plate's what's pushing everything back. So the hydraulics just by design really hurts our reaction times anyway, but we stacked a few other variables in at this event, trying a new clutch and doing some things, and I just never got really comfortable with staging. Some of the things we were trying was new, and so I just had even for my typical bad reaction times, I had a really bad one. And so anyway, he's way out on us. You know, he's a car out, I guess. And as we're coming to the 8th, I mean, you can watch the video. It was really cool because we both had, you know, the 360 GoPros or whatever on the tops of our cars. And he gets, you know, out like a car, and we're at the 8th mile, you know, we kind of pull back a little bit. Then we kind of pull back a little bit more. But we're beat, you know, he's still a half a car out on us. And then at the very, you know, I'd say the last 100 feet of the track maybe, it's like he got out of the throttle or had a problem with his car. And of course we blew right by him. And I mean, I didn't think I was going to win it. We got on the scramble probably like in the beginning of 3rd gear.
So when you say you got on a scramble, basically you pinned the gates shut.
Well, I don't think we've capped it out yet.
I don't think so.
I don't think, you know, just looking at exhaust back pressure and some of the data, I still think it's got a lot left in it. But it was more than I've ever had on it.
Right.
And, you know, typically, like in the semis of this race down in Florida, I usually keep like 15 on my scramble. You know, that's 15 dome. That don't mean 15 pounds of boost. You know, the more power, the more boost you're making, the less you're going to gain by increasing dome. But, you know, with 15 on the dome, say we pick up 8 or 10 pounds of boost, that's usually where I keep it. And after the semis, I rolled that back into the tune and still had, another 15 on the scramble. So we were about, I don't know, 20 or so more on the dome than it's ever seen. But it was, like I said, in third, at some point in third gear through fourth gear. It wasn't like the whole pass.
Yeah, just enough right at the end to get around somebody. Yeah. So,
but the pass was not a good clean pass, and that's the craziest thing about it. The car went a 686 in the semis, and then we put 15 on top of what we had, plus a little bit at the end.
But for the ones that don't know, and you're explaining it to them right now, just to watch it on video without no explanation, it was just like crazy just to watch, because all of a sudden it was just like wham, gone, right around him.
Well, the car, and the craziest thing about the video was the front suspension, I think.
Yeah, we watched that.
I'd never paid any attention whatsoever to shock sensor data. We have sensors on the front, but I'd never looked at that down track. I look at it at launch and see, what's happening. Of course, we got a ride height sensor in the front that we can tell if it's wheeling, how much wheeling. If it gets too high, it'll pull timing out to control wheelies. But I'd never looked at the front shock data down track. And to see that video, it even blew my mind, because it looked like the car, the nose was about to scrape the track. It was literally snow plowing.
He was basically looking like a bulldozer getting ready to plow some snow and anything that was in the way.
Yeah, and I think part of what caused that is our 3 to 4 shift was not clean. And what a lot of people, the car was super fast. It's the fastest it's ever been. It set the LT record on that pass, but that would have been a lot faster pass. We had an issue with the 2-3 shift with a backfire that this thing has decided it likes to do when it's turned up a lot. It has a backfire like in the manifold, and it creates an artificial boost spike, which then throws a lot more fuel at it than it really needed, because it registers way up in the fuel map. So that went wrong. And then the 3-4 shift, I just flat missed it again. I didn't miss it in the sense of I went to the wrong gear.
Right.
The car was accelerating so fast I was not ready. So when it got to the point where it should shift, I ran it into the rev limiter 3 or 4 times before I grabbed it. So I think when I missed that gear and it lost all its, forward momentum, it's like in a state of deceleration, because we're not disengaging the clutch. So the nose went really low. And then when I got it in gear, it's like arrow, whatever. It just kept the nose down flat.
That downforce on the front of the nose, it just kept it down. And to watch the back of the car react to it was kind of wild looking.
Everybody says, it's the rear suspension, it's separation. But if you look at the log, the separation had came down. Because as you're going down the track, the G's or the acceleration is decreasing. You're getting faster, but it's not pulling as hard in fourth as it would be in second, obviously. So the rear shocks had actually came down. It's just the whole car came down, and especially the nose.
Yeah, like I said, it was wild looking to watch it on video, but you explaining everything there, that way it'll help everybody else understand what really truly happened.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we know you got World Cup finals coming up, and also, like I said right there, it's a little different setting with Grubworm now, because now I'll just go ahead and say it, you've sold Tick Performance.
Yeah, I sold Tick back in March, I guess it became official. I sold it to Joey and Matt, 2 of the guys that had been there, for years.
Yeah, long time.
The 2 longest standing employees at Tick. So those guys partnered up. I'm out. I'm here at my house, essentially in a little small garage, working on the race car and doing some race engines.
So, you've only been out a few months since March, whether it's 6, 8 months, something like that. Have you found yourself when you get up of a morning trying to break any old habits that you were used to doing?
Well, I don't know about that. I feel like I'm working more or harder now than I did, the last several years at Tick, and I am. It's obvious, but
yeah,
I get up earlier and I'm working earlier, and I don't really know.
Well,
it don't make a lot of sense.
well, you're not having to drive. You can just kind of get up and come out,
yeah,
do your thing. If you want to go back in the house for a few minutes, you can do that. Just It probably did take some pressure off of you at least, or some stress and pressure.
From a stress or pressure standpoint, it's, went from massive debt to essentially no debt personally or on any level, so I can come out here and, enjoy what I do without worrying about, making a payroll for 20 plus employees. And, I'd never be in this situation if it weren't for those employees that I had at Tick. They got us where we were at, and it made it possible for me to do this, what I'm doing now. And I'm super grateful, to all those guys. But now, it's just a more relaxed, I'm doing race engines, and most of the customers are still Tick. They carried right over from Tick because I was doing engines there. Kind of the same as, what I'm doing. Really nothing changed for me except the location.
Yeah. What you say, really close to home now.
Yeah, we're about 10 feet from the carport attached to the house right now. So
that's really nice. So, well, like I said, with that being said, tell everybody, your website, and also in the description, I'll put a link to it in the description, but you can go ahead and tell them the website. And
yeah, so the business is JAC, and that stands for JA Competition. So the website's jacompetition.com. Of course, that's my initials. It's also my son's initials, Jacob. So hopefully one day he'll love this stuff maybe as half as much as I do, and he'll be out here working, and then maybe he'll take it over one day.
Maybe he'll get to that certain age and start showing an interest in it, and just, like I said, carry right along with it. So, and maybe he'll be wheeling Grubworm one of these days. You never know.
Yeah, he's already talking about it. Probably him now.
Yeah, yeah. Door open, then it shut back. He might have been sneaking a peek or something.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of times people might have seen your daddy with you in the pits or something, or at the line or something like that. I am going to ask, how's Johnny doing since the change of Tick?
Yeah, he's doing good. Just like much didn't really change for me other than location. He still actually helps those guys. He still works for them as far as like running errands. Like their billet parts they make that get anodized or cryo treated or rim polished, any of these services that are done outside of Tick, he handles that for them as far as getting it to and from. And he actually purchased the equipment to do cryogenic treatment, so he's doing all of Tick's transmission gears that get cryoed now. It's kind of his own new little business that he's doing.
In other words, he's still the same old Johnny.
Yeah, like I said, nothing's really changed. He's still, I guess, as busy as he wants to be. So.
I wonder if he's still telling that story about, what was that, a Cavalier or something he used to do burnouts in or something?
About my Cavalier?
Was it yours or something he used to drive? He'd back out, stick it in reverse, and then throw it in first and do a crazy burnout or something?
He had a Renault. I guess it was a Renault or Renault. Looks
yeah,
like how you spell it, but I think you pronounce it Renault. It was a car he had when I was a little kid. I can remember riding in it, but it was just his daily beater, and it was like a little tiny hatchback, like a Civic hatchback or something. It was just a Renault, and I think it was the Le car was the model. But anyway, he tells a story where he'd go and hang out with his buddies at their garage or body shop, and every single day when he'd leave, he'd do a J-hook burnout.
Yeah, that's it.
And it became something to watch every day for anybody else that might have been at that shop. At that time, it was something to talk about, I guess. Something stupid.
All I know is Jonathan, I really appreciate you talking with us and giving us the insight on Grubworm here, and hopefully it helped a lot of people understand some stuff of when they see you making a pass or somebody else's car making a pass, maybe give them a little better understanding of possibly what might be going on when something is actually not going right for you, but it looks cool to them.
Yeah.
But also I hear something about cheeseburgers. Is there any truth to something about a cheeseburger?
There is. We like cheeseburgers. My dad, he's like a cheeseburger connoisseur of sorts. That's his favorite food, I guess. So we eat a lot of them at the racetrack. And,
so that kind of reminds me, and it might be telling our age a little bit, but who cares? Remember the cartoon Popeye?
Yeah.
Remember the guy on there, Wimpy?
Yeah.
I gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. So, I mean, but Jonathan said you don't have to wait till Tuesday to get that cheeseburger.
Yeah, we put a little offer out there at a World Cup. You know, I ride the LS guys pretty hard on Facebook about, you know, getting outrun all the time by a Buick Roadmaster engine. You know, the LT1, you know, it could have came from a Buick Roadmaster or Caprice, you know, whatever. I pick at them a lot because, you know, all those guys are billet block, aftermarket block, whatever. Nobody's doing it with a stock block, but this is the record holding car. We're going to World Cup with the LT1 under the hood. So anybody that can go a 660 or quicker with an LS gets a free cheeseburger.
What about the Coyote guys?
I don't have that many cheeseburgers.
Mmm.
See, it wasn't going to be any cheeseburgers because I don't think anybody's going to go 660 or quicker. But I was feeling so bad about it, you know, talking so much trash, that I went ahead and said I'd give them all a cheeseburger. Didn't matter if they went 660. You know, and there's probably like, you know, 5 or 6 LS cars out there. So, you know, I don't want to buy that many cheeseburgers because I do want to eat some myself.
Well, that's true. I like cheeseburgers myself, so I mean, I guess we'll just have to go local here and get us a burger. Is all I can say, because
Yeah.
I ain't going all the way to World Cup just to get a cheeseburger. But you know,
Coyote guys will have to go to the Hot Rod Cafe. You know, they got a cheeseburger there at the track. But any LS guy, whether you're slow, fast, it really don't matter. You know, you come by and we'll give you a cheeseburger.
that sounds good to me. Jonathan, I appreciate your time. I hope everybody enjoyed what they got to see here about, like I said, you, Grubworm, Tick Performance, and your racing and your future plans and everything you got going on. And guys, hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.